The planet Alaris was dry, cold, and full of dust. Huge machines crawled across the ground like metal insects, digging deep into the rocky soil. This was a mining world, forgotten by most of the galaxy. People worked long hours for little food. But in this place, far from the eyes of the rich and powerful, something was about to change. Sierra Malin lived in a small metal shelter near Mining Sector 9. She was 17 years old, smart, brave, and always curious. Her mother had died in a mining accident years ago, and her father disappeared soon after. Sierra had grown up alone, fixing machines and helping other workers for small credits. She had a small AI companion named Juno, which she built from old parts she found in the junkyards. Juno could float, scan, and even talk, though its voice was a little glitchy. One evening, after her work shift ended, Sierra climbed the sharp rocks near the outer canyon to collect spare scrap for trade. The wind blew hard, but Sierra liked the silence out there. She often found broken machine pieces or lost cargo from supply ships. But today, she found something strange. A small crashed shuttle lay half buried under sand and stone. It looked old, maybe from the last decade. Its wings were broken, and one side was blackened from fire. Curious, Sierra climbed inside. The ship smelled of smoke and metal. Most of the systems were dead. But in the pilot's seat, she saw a body long gone, just bones in a burned uniform. The chest badge read, Vern Eric. Sierra froze. That name was known across the galaxy. Vern Eric had been one of the Sky Lords, a group of the richest, most powerful people in the star systems. They owned companies, planets, and even governments. Eric had died in a strange accident 5 years ago. People said he disappeared while traveling between trade worlds. His death was never confirmed. Sierra looked around the shuttle again. There was nothing valuable until she saw a small sealed container under the pilot's seat. It was metal, thick, and locked by a bioscan. But Juno hovered close and scanned it. Low-power encryption. "I can bypass in 10 seconds, Juno said with its usual buzz. The box clicked open. Inside was a crystal data drive. It glowed faintly, like it had been waiting all these years. Sierra carefully took it and connected it to her portable reader. Juno projected a screen in the air. The drive contained thousands of files, logs, videos, and secret communications. Sierra didn't understand most of it at first, but one name caught her eye: classified communication. Skylord Network. Sierra opened one file. A voice recording played. It was Vern Eric. "Keep the programs hidden. If the workers protest, remove their leaders quietly. No media, no reports. The council must stay clean." Juno processed more files. One showed payment transfers to security forces. Another revealed orders to silence witnesses. And many other files listed secret deals, some of them with names she recognized, other Skylords, famous company owners, even members of the Galactic Tribunal. Sierra felt her heart pound. This wasn't just business corruption. These files showed something much bigger. It was a network of control and lies that stretched across the galaxy. "Juno," she whispered, "we can't let this stay hidden." Juno blinked its lights. "This information is dangerous. If the Lords find out, they will come for us." "I know," Sierra said. "But if we do nothing, they will keep ruling like this forever." She took the data crystal, hid it under her jacket, and climbed out of the wreck. The wind had picked up, but Sierra felt calm. She knew what she had to do. That night, she returned to her shelter and packed her things. She didn't have much, just a travel bag, her tools, a food pack, and Juno. She traded her scrap for a ride to the nearest spaceport in Sector 12. There, she used a fake ID to buy a one-way ticket to Zenith Prime, the capital of the core systems. The trip took 4 days. Sierra stayed quiet, reading more of the files. She learned about false wars started by the Lords, mining accidents covered up, and entire colonies abandoned for profit. Her anger grew with every document, but she also grew more focused. She started to copy the most important files into a backup crystal in case anything went wrong. When the ship landed on Zenith Prime, she was shocked. Tall towers reached the sky, and flying cars moved in perfect lines. The air was clean, the people wore fine clothes, and machines cleaned the streets. It was nothing like Alaris. This was the heart of power, but even in this perfect city, she saw signs of control. Guards on every corner, cameras in every direction. Sira kept her hood up and stayed in the crowd. She went straight to a small data cafe and uploaded the first few files to a free public network. Then she sent anonymous messages to several news channels and independent senators. Hours later, her files began to spread. People started talking online. Reporters asked questions. The name Vern Eric returned to the front page. Old stories were reopened. And then someone found the words Skylord Network in her files. The galaxy had noticed. Sira sat in a dark corner of the cafe, watching the storm begin. Juno hovered beside her, silent. "We've started something, Juno," she said softly. "We've started a fire." Outside, rain began to fall over Zenith Prime. But inside that small cafe, hope had just begun to rise. The court case shook the galaxy. For the first time, the people were seeing the truth. The Skylords, once seen as untouchable rulers of trade and power, were now exposed as greedy and dishonest. Messages poured into the Galactic Tribunal from across the stars. Many demanded full justice. Some feared chaos. But one thing was clear. The name Sira Malin had become known on every planet. Inside the tribunal, the mood was tense. Judges were now split. Some believed Sira and wanted a full trial. Others wanted the case dropped. They feared that more secrets would break the system apart. They worried that the truth would lead to war between the core systems and the outer colonies. Sira stood calmly as more files were played in court. Juno helped display them on the main screen. The files showed voice recordings, secret plans, and illegal orders. One file revealed that an entire village on a border planet had been removed to make room for a rare metal mine. The people had never returned. There were no reports, no justice, only silence. People cried in the courtroom. Even some officials looked shocked. Sira spoke again with a clear voice. "I did not bring these files to destroy anyone. I brought them because the people deserved to know. The lords did not protect the weak. They used power to silence them. That must end." But outside the court, trouble was growing. In a private chamber far from the city, the remaining Skylords gathered by holocall. They were angry. They believed Sira had broken their control. They feared more names would come out soon. And some of those names were in the room. "We must stop this trial," said Lord Jenner. "If we let her keep going, she will pull down everything." "She's just a girl," another said. "Why is the galaxy listening to her?" "Because she has the truth," Lord Jenner answered. "And truth is dangerous." They made a plan. First, they would attack her name, then her team, then her safety. If that failed, they would remove her. Quietly and quickly. The next day, news feeds began to show fake stories. One report claimed Sira had stolen the files from a secure government vault. Another said she had been paid by rebels to spread lies. One channel even showed a fake interview where someone dressed like Sira made false statements. Maya Wren stood beside Sira as the lies spread. She was angry but calm. This is what power does when it is afraid. It tries to twist the truth. But we will answer every lie with facts. Cale Dre worked behind the scenes. He had friends in security forces and underground networks. He tracked the fake stories and found they came from media channels owned by the lords. He also found proof that some witnesses were being paid to stay silent. One morning, a key witness named Rendalo was supposed to speak in court. He had worked under Vern Eric and knew about hidden files. But he did not arrive. His ship exploded just outside the spaceport. The court went silent again. The judges looked worried. Some now began to believe that Sierra's life was also in danger. Maya made a request for special protection. The court granted it. Sierra was moved to a high-security area under the care of trusted guards. But Cale did not trust the guards fully. He kept watch all night, standing outside her room with a small scanner. Juno stayed with Sierra, always alert. Late one night, Juno gave a warning. Unmarked signal detected. Unknown code trying to reach internal security grid. Cale jumped to action. He ran to the control room. A guard had been replaced by someone in a stolen uniform. They were trying to shut down the security cameras. Cale stopped them just in time. A quiet fight broke out in the hallway. The fake guard escaped, but left behind a clue. A tiny badge with the mark of House Virel, one of the strongest Skylord families. Maya showed the badge in court the next day. The Lords are not just fighting this case with words. They are trying to stop it with fear and force. But we will not back down. Crowds outside the tribunal grew larger. People carried signs and played Sierra's speeches on holoscreens. Songs were written in her name. On poor worlds, children dressed like her. On rich worlds, people argued about what kind of galaxy they wanted to live in. Back in the courtroom, Sierra gave another speech. I never asked to stand here. I only wanted the truth to be known. Now that it is, I cannot turn away. The Lords may have power, but power does not make them right. Only truth can do that. The court allowed one more major file to be shown. This one was the most shocking. It was a letter from Vern Eric to another Skylord. In it, he spoke of a secret project. A system that could track every citizen on every planet. It used personal data, movement patterns, and private messages. It was tested on small colonies. No one had known. Now the galaxy did. The courtroom fell into chaos. People screamed. Some fainted. Others stood in silence. The judges called for order. The trial was paused. The judges needed time to review all new evidence. They said a final decision would come in 1 week. As the people left the courtroom, one message ran clear across the stars. The Skylords had ruled for centuries. But now, their time might be ending. Sierra stood by the court steps. Around her were Maya, Cale, and Juno. Reporters tried to speak to her, but she only said one sentence. The truth is out. And it is only the beginning. Far away, the Lords met again. They were silent now. They knew they had failed to stop her, but one of them whispered a warning. If we cannot stop her in court, then we must stop her outside of it, before she brings us all down. The rain did not stop for 2 days. On Zenith Prime, storms came and went like clockwork, but this one felt different. The people in the capital city were talking about only one thing. A name had returned from the past, Vern Eric, and with it came whispers of a secret network, of hidden crimes, and of a girl from the mining world of Alaris. Sierra Malin watched from the shadows as her files spread across news screens and data feeds. Some believed them. Some called them lies. Others wanted to know more. One thing was certain: someone powerful was now watching her every move. Juno, her small AI companion, hovered near her shoulder inside the cheap apartment she had rented. Its lights blinked softly. We have 3 network alerts, 2 private messages, 1 trace attempt on our last upload, Juno said. Shut the trace. Wipe the location tags, Sierra replied. She was tired, but there was no time to rest. The data. Crystal still had more secrets. She had not even shared the worst files yet. There were names in there, powerful names. If she exposed them, everything could change. Or everything could burn. Later that night, someone knocked on her door. Juno scanned the hallway. Single figure, female, no weapon detected. Sierra opened the door slowly. A tall woman stood outside. She wore a long gray coat and had sharp eyes. Her voice was calm. "My name is Maya Wren. I'm a senator of the Independent Voice. May I come in?" Sira stepped aside. Maya entered and looked around the small room. She did not seem afraid or angry. Instead, she sat down and folded her hands. "I read the files," Maya said. "I know who you are, and I believe you." Sira sat across from her, unsure what to say. No one in power had ever believed someone like her before. Maya continued. "But you are in danger. I want to help you. The Sky Lords will not sit quietly while their secrets are exposed." Sira asked, "Why help me?" Maya looked straight at her. "Because truth matters. And because my own brother died on a colony project funded by Vern Arick, I've waited 10 years for answers." Sira nodded slowly. She reached into her bag and pulled out the data crystal. "There is more, much more. If we show it all, they'll come after you too." "I'm not afraid of them anymore," Maya said. "We'll take this to the Galactic Tribunal. Let the people see everything." The next morning, the news exploded. Senator Maya Wren held a press conference on the steps of the tribunal hall. She stood beside Sira, who kept her face partly covered but spoke clearly into the microphones. "I found these files on Alaris," Sira said. "They belong to Vern Arick. They show lies, crimes, and secret deals made by those in power. I share them not for revenge, but for truth." The crowd of reporters shouted questions. Cameras flashed. Across the galaxy, people watched the live feed. But inside the tribunal, things were moving quickly. Some judges demanded an emergency review. Others said it was all fake. The Lords and their allies sent lawyers and messages to stop the case. Before it began, that evening, Maya received a call. "They're filing charges against Sira," she told her. "They say you stole the files, that you're part of a rebel plot. They want you arrested." Sira stayed calm, then let them try. "We still have the truth." But the danger was real. 2 nights later, someone broke into the apartment. Juno sounded the alarm just in time. Sira and Maya escaped through the back alley. A black hovercar followed them through the lower streets. Kaldre, an old soldier who once served with Maya's brother, appeared with his ship and got them out safely. They flew to a secret location on the moon of Elion, just outside the capital ring. There Maya's team set up a secure base. They began preparing for a full legal case. The files were sorted and checked. Every message, every payment, every order. Juno helped organize them into clear evidence. Sira worked day and night, going through each one carefully. Sometimes she cried when she read what had been done. Other times, she grew so angry she could not sleep. Kale taught her how to stay safe, how to move without being tracked, how to speak in public without fear. He did not talk much, but when he did, it mattered. "You're doing what soldiers couldn't," he said. "You're showing the galaxy that no one is above the law." The day of the trial came. The Galactic Tribunal chamber was large and full of people. Judges in long robes sat high above. Crowds watched from every corner. Reporters filled the air with whispers and flashing lights. Sira stepped forward, holding the data crystal in her hand. She looked up at the judges and spoke in a clear voice. "This is not just a story about one man. This is a story about all of us. About how power has been used to silence, control, and hurt. These files are real, and they belong to the people." The judges allowed her to play one file. It was a video. In it, Vern Arick spoke to another Lord. "The workers on Theta 5 are complaining again. Cut their food rations. If they riot, shut off air supply. No one will care." The room went silent. One of the judges leaned forward. "Do you have proof this video is real?" Maya stepped in. "We've verified it with 3 data forensics teams. It's real." The trial continued for hours. More files were shown, More names were exposed. The people watching began to ask questions. Protests began outside. Citizens across the stars started talking about justice. But behind the scenes, the Sky Lords were preparing their next move. They would not go down easily. The courtroom was quiet, but the galaxy was not. Across the stars, people were rising. Sierra Malin had become more than just a girl with a data crystal. She had become a symbol of truth. Her voice had reached workers, students, pilots, and even some soldiers. The files she brought to light had opened old wounds and given people a reason to stand up. On the planet Jaxer 9, miners stopped working and demanded answers from their leaders. On the trade hub of Orion, students marched in the streets holding signs that said truth belongs to all. Even on Alaris, where Sierra had found the crashed ship, people gathered around old holoscreens to listen to her speeches. But not everyone was cheering. Inside the sky towers of Zenith Prime, the Lords were afraid. Their control was slipping. Their secrets were no longer safe. Their names were no longer respected. The tribunal had not given its final decision yet, but the people had already chosen sides. In a hidden chamber above the city, Lord Jenner sat with the others. He was older than most, but his voice still held power. We tried to fight her with lies. It failed. We tried to remove her quietly. It failed. Now the people are waking up. We must act before the court ends this. Another lord asked, "What do you suggest?" Shut down the networks, break the channels, turn the people against each other. If we cannot silence her, we will drown her in noise and fear. The lords began their final plan. The next morning, the public networks across the core systems went offline. News channels showed only approved messages. Protesters were labeled as criminals. On some planets, security forces were ordered to break up gatherings. Some peaceful Marsers turned into chaos when unknown agents caused damage and blamed it on the people. But the people were not fooled. Kale Dre stood on a balcony above the streets of Zenith Prime. He watched as thousands of citizens marched peacefully through the capital. They held signs with Sierra's name and images of the files she had revealed. Maya Wren joined him. She looked proud but tired. This is bigger than we thought. The people do not just want the truth, they want change. Kale nodded. That means the lords will fight harder. Inside the safe house, Sierra worked with Juno. They had connected to private networks through old satellite lines. Sierra was now speaking directly to the people through a secure channel. Every night she shared one new file. Every night, more people listened. One evening, she revealed a message from a lord to a private company. Create shortage reports. Raise food prices in the outer colonies. Let them beg for support, then offer help for votes. That night, several colony worlds declared they would no longer follow orders from the lords. They wanted their own leaders. They wanted freedom. The uprising had begun. The lords panicked. Their trade ships were blocked. Their businesses were boycotted. Even some soldiers refused to follow their orders. In a rush to protect themselves, the lords requested emergency powers from the tribunal. They wanted control over security forces and court decisions. But the judges hesitated. The truth had spread too far. The people were watching. A wrong step now could lead to full collapse. In response, Lord Jenner gave one final order. He contacted a group of Black Ops mercenaries called the Crimson Corps. They were not part of any army. They worked in the shadows. Their mission was simple: find Sierra. End the problem, Kale found out through an old contact. He rushed back to the safe house. Sierra, we have to move. Now they are coming. Sierra did not ask questions. She grabbed the data crystal, her bag, and followed Kale. Maya joined them with a small group of loyal guards. They took a hidden tunnel that led to an old transport ship deep under the city. As they ran, Juno gave updates. Multiple signals approaching. Unknown weapons detected. We have 5 minutes. They reached the ship just in time. Kale started the engines. Maya checked the system. Juno activated defense shields. Blasts hit the ground behind them as they lifted off. The Crimson Corps had arrived too late. From above the city, Sira looked down. The streets were glowing with lights from the people. They were holding candles and screens. They had not given up. They tried to silence me, Sira said, but the people speak louder. The ship flew to a secret base on the moon of Vion. There, Sira met with rebel leaders, free pilots, and independent media heads. She shared everything, all the files, all the truths. No more hiding. Maya stood before the group and made a new call. We cannot wait for the court. The lords will never stop. We must create a new council. A people's council, one that serves truth and justice. The room cheered. A new plan was born. Within days, 30 colony worlds joined the cause. Former officers offered their support. Trade ships were rerouted to help the people instead of the lords. Back in Zenith Prime, the tribunal was under pressure. One of the judges finally spoke on Live Hala. Sira Malin has given the galaxy something rare, the truth. We must protect her and listen to the people. The lords saw the end coming. Some fled. Some tried to change sides. Others made one last plan. If the court would not stop Sira, they would stop the court itself. The moon of Vion was quiet, far from the noise of the core systems. Its sky was black and its ground was full of silver dust. But inside the rebel base, things were not quiet at all. People moved from room to room, setting up communication lines, scanning new files, and planning their next steps. They all knew something big was coming. Sira Malin stood near a large table, looking at a map of the galaxy. Red lights marked the planets still under the control of the Sky Lords. Blue lights showed the free systems. More blue lights appeared each day. The people were rising, and the lords were losing their grip. But the fight was not over. Kale Dre entered the room with a serious look on his face. He was holding a small device. Bad news, he said. We intercepted a message. The Sky Lords have launched a final operation. They want to destroy the tribunal and silence you forever. Maya Wren stepped forward. How will they do it? Kale pointed to the screen. They are sending a group of elite assassins to Zenith Prime. Their plan is to stop the court from giving a final decision. After that, they will go after Sira. Sira stayed calm. Then we have to stop them before they reach the court. Juno floated near the table, scanning the data. There is a way. I can track the ship they are using. But we must act fast. They are already in space. Kale turned to Maya. We need to leave tonight. Maya nodded. I will come with you. We must protect the court and show the people that the law still matters. That night, they boarded Kale's ship and flew into the dark sky. Juno guided them through safe routes, avoiding patrols and blocked systems. It was a quiet journey, but everyone on board knew what was at stake. If the assassins reached the tribunal first, everything could be lost. Meanwhile, on Zenith Prime, the court was preparing for the final hearing. Crowds had gathered outside the tribunal hall. People held signs with Sira's name. Some played her recordings on speakers. The energy was strong, full of hope. But inside the tribunal, fear was growing. Some judges had received warnings. Others had been offered bribes to delay the trial. Still, the lead judge stood firm. The people deserve a final decision, she said. We will not be silent. At the same time, the assassins arrived in orbit around the planet. Their ship was black and fast, built to avoid all scanners. There were 6 of them, each trained for one purpose: silence the target and disappear. Kale's ship landed near the city just hours later. Juno had traced the enemy ship and located its landing point. It was in the old industrial zone, just outside the city walls. Kale, Sira, Maya, and a small team moved quickly through the streets. They stayed low, using shadows for cover. Juno flew ahead, scanning for danger. Suddenly, a blast shook the ground. One of the assassins had planted a charge near the tribunal gates. Chaos broke out. People screamed and ran. Security forces moved in, but they were not ready for trained killers. Kale and Maya rushed to the scene. Sira followed, holding the backup. Data crystal close to her chest. She knew the files inside were still the most powerful weapon they had. Truth was still stronger than any blade. Kale faced the first assassin near the outer wall. They fought hard, but Kale was faster. He disarmed the attacker and knocked him out. Maya found another assassin trying to enter through the side door. She warned the guards just in time. Inside the hall, the judges were rushed into a safe room. But one assassin had already made it inside. He moved quickly, dressed like a court officer. He reached the door to the judge's chamber and pulled out a weapon. Before he could act, Sira stepped into his path. She looked at him without fear. "You cannot stop the truth." He raised his weapon, but before he could fire, Juno flew in and released a strong pulse of light. The attacker was stunned and dropped his weapon. Guards rushed in and took him down. The court was saved. Later that evening, the tribunal returned to session. The lead judge stood before the galaxy and made the final ruling. The files presented by Sira Malin are real. The actions of the Skylords are proven. Many of them will face trial. Others have already fled. But justice will not end here. A new system must rise, one that serves the people. The crowds outside cheered. Across the stars, people cried and celebrated. On colony worlds, bells rang. On mining planets, workers raised their flags. The galaxy had changed. Sira stood beside Maya and Kale. Juno hovered quietly, its lights blinking slowly. "You did it," Maya said. Sira shook her head. "We did it, all of us." But even in this moment of victory, they knew the fight was not fully over. Some lords still had power. Some systems were still under control. And those who had been hurt still needed healing. Kale looked to the sky. The war is ending. But the work is just beginning. The galaxy was waking up. The decision of the Galactic Tribunal had traveled faster than any ship. People across planets and moons had heard the news. The files were true. The Skylords had been exposed. The court had ruled in favor of truth. On the farming planet of Yaris, farmers threw their tools in the air and danced in the fields. On the city world of Doran, people filled the main square and chanted Sira's name. Even in the cold mining pits of Alaris, workers stopped digging and stood in silence. Their faces showed hope for the first time in years. But for the remaining lords, the news was a storm dot inside a hidden command room on a space station above the planet Tovik. Lord Jenner stood in front of a map. His face was pale. His voice was low but sharp. "We have lost the court. We have lost the systems. Our names are no longer respected. The people now rule the stars. If we do not act now, we will be forgotten." A younger lord stepped forward. "What can we do?" "They are arresting lords one by one. Some of us have already escaped to the outer belt." Lord Jenner pointed at a flashing dot on the screen. "There is still one move left. The defense ship Black Viper is hidden near Zenith Prime. Its weapons are fully armed. Its crew is loyal. To us, we launch it now. We end this quickly." The other lords looked shocked. "You want to attack the capital planet?" "Not the planet, just the court. One final strike to destroy the files and silence the leaders. If they cannot lead, the people will fall into chaos again. And when they do, they will come running back to us." No one spoke for a moment. Then, one by one, they agreed. The Black Viper left its hiding place in the darkness of space. It moved fast and quiet. No signals were sent. No warnings were given. On Zenith Prime, the leaders were still celebrating. Maya Wren was speaking to a large crowd. Kale Dre was meeting with former soldiers to help bring peace to the outer colonies. Sierra Malin was sitting with children in a public square, telling them how the truth had won. Juno floated nearby and scanned the skies as usual. Suddenly, its voice changed. Warning. Large ship entering orbit. Weapon systems active. No ID code. Not friendly. Kale received the signal at once. He rushed to the square. Sierra, we have a problem. A warship is coming. I think it is the Lords. Maya joined them. She looked up at the sky. They would rather destroy everything than accept the future. Sierra stood up. Her face was calm. Then we stopped them. This is our home now. We protect. The city's defense systems were still not fully ready. Most soldiers were busy keeping order in other systems. The capital was peaceful, not expecting war. But now, the people had to defend it themselves. Kale contacted his old team. A small group of retired pilots answered the call. They had once flown for the Lords, but now followed the people's cause. They had old fighter ships and brave hearts. We may not have numbers, Kale said, but we have the will to fight. The sky turned dark as the Black Viper entered low orbit. Its weapons pointed at the Tribunal Hall and power centers. It sent one message to the ground: surrender the files. Surrender the leaders, or be destroyed. Sierra took the communicator and spoke clearly. We are not afraid of you. You lost your power because you lost your honor. The galaxy will not bow to fear again. The warship gave no answer. It charged its weapons. Kale and his pilots launched into the sky. Their small ships flew like arrows. Juno joined them, sending false signals to confuse the enemy. Maya stayed on the ground to help direct emergency teams and keep the people safe. The fight in the sky was fierce. The Black Viper was strong and fast. It hit 2 fighter ships early in the battle, but Kale did not give up. He led his team in close, flying between the enemy ship's blind spots. Juno found a weakness in the shield system and sent the data to Kale. If you hit the rear core, the shields will drop. Kale flew through the fire and reached the target. His ship was damaged, but he fired one last shot. It hit the core. The enemy shield dropped for just a moment. That moment was enough. One of the younger pilots flew straight into the side of the warship and fired his full payload. The explosion lit up the sky. The Black Viper began to fall, its engines failing. Sierra watched from the ground as the burning ship passed overhead. It crashed into an empty part of the moon, far from any city. The sky was quiet again. Rescue teams searched the crash site. No Lords were found. Only silence and broken steel. Back in the capital, people gathered once again. This time, not to protest or to fight, but to celebrate peace. The last attack had failed. The Lords were finished. Inside the Tribunal Hall, a new council was formed. It included workers, scientists, teachers, and citizens from every system. Sierra refused to take a high seat. Instead, she asked for something else. I want to return to Alaris, she said. I want to help the people who raised me. They still need schools, food, and clean air. That is where I belong. Maya smiled. You may not want to lead, but you already have. And the galaxy will not forget it. Kale placed a hand on Sierra's shoulder. Sometimes the strongest heroes are those who choose to rebuild, not just fight. Juno floated above them, recording the moment. The stars were quiet now. Not because fear had won, but because hope had. 1 year had passed since the fall of the Sky Lords. The galaxy had changed. The Tribunal Hall was no longer a place of fear. It had become a center of learning and justice. Students from different planets came there to study history, science, and law. The files that once held secrets were now open to all. Everyone had the right to know the truth. Maya Wren stood at the balcony of the hall, looking down at the large crowd gathered below. People had come from every corner of the galaxy to celebrate Unity Day. It was a new holiday that marked the day. The people had taken back their power. Beside her stood Cale Dre. He wore a simple flight jacket and no medals. His old pilot team now trained young defenders, not soldiers. They taught courage and wisdom, not just skill. The crowd cheered when Sierra Malin stepped onto the stage. She no longer wore prison clothes. She wore the colors of Alaris, the mining planet she once called home. Her voice was steady as she spoke. 1 year ago, we were afraid. We believed only the rich and powerful could rule. We thought our voices did not matter, but we were wrong. The people stood up. The people chose truth. And together, we built something better. The crowd clapped. Children held banners with her name. Farmers, workers, teachers, and inventors all stood together. After the speech, Maya led Sierra through the hall. "There is something I want to show you," Maya said. They entered a long hallway filled with pictures. These were not paintings of kings or generals. These were images of people who had made change with kindness, courage, or knowledge. Sierra's photo had been placed in the center. Below it, the words read, "Truth is the light that leads the stars." Sierra looked at it and smiled. "I didn't do this alone," she said. "I know," Maya replied. "But you were the spark." Far across the galaxy, on the once feared world of Voltron Prime, a different kind of gathering was happening. It was a rebuilding mission. The planet had been ruled by one of the cruelest lords, but now it was under repair. Engineers and volunteers had come from many systems to help. Cale arrived there with his flight team. He walked past broken towers and ruined roads. Children peeked out from behind walls, curious but cautious. Cale knelt beside one of them and handed the boy a small glowing ball. "It's just a toy," he said with a smile. "But it means we're here to help." The boy looked at it, then smiled back. His mother came out and nodded politely. More people began to step forward. Slowly, trust began to grow. In another part of the galaxy, Juno was working with scientists. The AI had been updated to help planets organize clean energy systems and protect against corruption. Juno had no face, no feelings, but it spoke in a calm voice that people had come to respect. "Systems active," it said. "Monitoring complete. Justice remains stable." In space, large cargo ships moved between worlds, not for lords but for the people. Food, medicine, and books were shared between colonies. The trade system was fair now. Small planets no longer had to beg for help. They were part of the same voice. Back on Alaris, Sierra returned home. The mining pits had changed. There were still machines, still work, but now workers had rest hours, clean water, and safe shelters. The children had schools. The sick had doctors. The sky, once covered in smoke, was blue. Sierra visited the small house where she grew up. Her old neighbor, an elder woman named Toma, greeted her with a warm smile. "You've been busy," Toma sighed. "I see your name in the stars." Sierra laughed softly. "I just wanted to make life better. That's all." "You did more than that," the old woman said. "You gave us a future." That night, the people of Alaris held a quiet festival. There were no loud speakers or grand lights. Just small fires, music, and food. Sierra sat with the children, telling them stories not of war, but of how truth can shine in darkness. She looked up at the sky. It was full of stars, bright and open. One child asked, "Will the Sky Lords ever come back?" Sierra thought for a moment. Maybe someone like them will. Try again. But now the people know what to do. We will not be silent. We will not be afraid. The stars belong to all of us. The child smiled and nodded. Later, Maya sent Sierra a message. "We're building a new learning station near the edge of the Orion Path. It will need teachers. Maybe you'd like to help?" Sierra replied, "Send me the coordinates. I'll be there soon." Cale also sent a message. The new pilots keep asking about you. They want to name a ship after you." Sira answered, "Only if they remember why we fought." 1 month later, the new space station opened. It was named Unity Star 1. It had no walls of gold or statues. It had classrooms, greenhouses, and a large window facing the stars. Sira arrived there as a teacher. Her first lesson was simple. We are all different. We come from many worlds, but we all have something the Sky Lords forgot. We care. The students listened closely. Kale flew in sometimes to give flight lessons. Maya visited often to help pass. New fair laws. Juno remained in orbit, watching, guiding, protecting. The galaxy still had troubles. Not everything was perfect. But now the people had each other. They had knowledge. They had courage. They had hope. And above them, the stars shined. Freely, no longer under the rule of the few, but open to all.